Previously, I showed you my very first Motocompo, changed the tires, disassembled it and lifted the frame of the engine. Before I dive into mounting the good engine, I quickly inspect the seized one to see if I can free it up. Looks stuck to me, so let's bring in the good one. I start with changing the oil. I pour in some Honda 10W30 until it comes out of a filling hole. The carburetor from the good engine has a stuck needle, so I'm taking the one from the seized engine. The carburetor looks like the chewing toy from a dog, so I'm going to clean it up before I mount it. I plug up the holes with some paper so none of the thick dirt can end up inside the carb. Some degreaser cleaned it up really nice. After wiggling on the frame, I installed the main bolt and mounted the shock to the engine. I mounted the brake cable and started attaching all the cables and hoses to the carburetor. The 30-year-old fuel hoses lost their flex over the years, so I heated up the ends to slip them over the fuel pipes. Next up is a second throttle cable that controls the oil pump. The fuel looks and smells okay. I'm assuming it'll do just fine for a first startup, so I pour in some fresh 2-stroke oil in the oil tank. A new Motocompo battery is pretty much unobtainable, so I bought the smallest one I could find. It's too big to fit in the original spot, so for testing purposes only, I zip tie it to the frame. We've got an engine with fuel, oil and a battery, so let's fire it up. The engine didn't even try to start, so I'm going to check all the things a 2-stroke needs, which are compression, spark and fuel. I start by checking the compression. Spark plug out, compression gauge in, and crank a few times with wide open throttle until the pressure stops climbing. The pressure needs to be between 128 and 185 psi, so this one is spot on. The spark is easily checked and looks perfect. There's probably an issue with the fuel, so I start by draining out the old fuel. Next, I remove the fuel valve to check the filter inside it isn't clogged up with earth. Looks fine to me, so let's put it back. With an endoscope, I'm checking the inside of the tank for loose dirt or rust. It looks all clean-ish, so next up is the carburetor. The carb is really dirty inside, so I'm going to clean it out with some brake cleaner. The hole that delivers the fuel to the needle is completely blocked with dirt. With a small drill, I open it up again. Not a perfect solution, but for now it'll do. Because the carburetor is in bad condition, I filled the fuel tank with premix so the engine doesn't get damaged when the carburetor fails to mix the oil with the fuel. Now that's all done, the engine should fire up. It clearly still has some issues because it keeps cutting off. I think the engine doesn't get enough fuel, so I put the needle a notch richer. I'm super happy with my first drive, but that carburetor needs replacing as soon as possible. So next video I will replace it with a brand new one from a Honda QR50. Thanks for watching.